Mitt Romney went on 60 Minutes, and we learned a lot about Mitt Romney, including what he learned. That he was challenged aggressively on how many times that he has flip-flopped in his career, whether it's abortion or many of the other important issues. So let's listen to his answer on that.
The principles I have are the principles I've had from the beginning of my political life. But have I learned? Have I found that some things I thought would be effective turned out not to be effective? Absolutely. If you don't learn from experience, don't learn from your mistakes, why, you ought to be fired.
Now, look, there's actually a fair point in there. And for example, I've switched many positions. I used to be for the death penalty. I'm now against the death penalty because one of the things I learned is that we keep executing the wrong people. So that's an important lesson to learn, right? So I can empathize with what Mitt Romney's saying. Except the only problem is he still does it, and he doesn't do it because he gained more evidence. He does it depending on the political context. If he wants to win the governorship in liberal Massachusetts, all of a sudden he's pro-choice, pro-gay marriage, all the liberal things. If he wants to win in a conservative primary, all of a sudden, oh my God, I can't believe gay marriage, no way, I'm so pro-life, etc. And we've seen it throughout his entire career, and it pretty much defines the man. It's not that he saw the light, it's that he keeps changing his positions based on what is convenient. Speaking of which, later in the interview, they ask him about, look, we got 50 million uninsured people in this country. Now, if you get rid of President Obama's health care law, what are you going to do with it?
Well, we do provide care for people who don't have insurance. People, if someone has a heart attack, they don't sit in their apartment and die. We pick them up in an ambulance and take them to the hospital and give them care. And different states have different ways of providing for that care.
Well, look, we got ambulances. We got hospitals. Hey, you libs are still crying? I mean, if that dude had a heart attack, we didn't come in and shoot him in the head. We helped him out and brought him to a hospital. You guys want more coverage than that? Like to try to prevent the heart attack? What do you take us for, suckers? So he says, basically, my answer to your 50 million uninsured people is emergency rooms. Now, that's interesting because here's what he told Morning Joe back in 2010.
Look, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to have millions and millions of people who have no health insurance and yet who can go to the emergency room and get entirely free care for which they have no responsibility, particularly if they're people who have sufficient means to pay their own way.
So wait a minute. Turns out emergency rooms are bad. He says, why would we pay for those emergencies? That is not the right way to do it. Of course, in his own proposal in Massachusetts, he was against the idea of just sending uninsured people to emergency rooms. It's more expensive and it's not fair. But it's not convenient anymore to have that position. He's got to have a more draconian position just so that he could be opposed to Obamacare. So all of a sudden, emergency rooms are awesome. But back in 2007, when he was talking to Glenn Beck, he didn't think they were so awesome either.
When they show up at the hospital, they get care. They get free care paid for by you and me. Right. If that's not a form of socialism, I don't know what is.
See, that's the problem with Mitt Romney. When it's convenient for him, emergency rooms, that's inefficient. It's socialism. Now he's running against President Obama. Emergency rooms rock. Send 50 million people there. That's Mitt Romney in a nutshell. So now, more from the interview. So talk to me about taxes and your plan and why it wouldn't just help the rich, Mitt Romney.
Also going to limit deductions and exemptions, particularly for people at the high end, because I want to keep the current progressivity in the code. There should be no tax reduction for high-income people.
No tax reductions for high-end people. He wants the income tax to be progressive. Really? But of course, he reminded us of this part of his plan as well.
Well, they'd be the current rates less 20%. So the top rate, for instance, would go from 35 to 28.
Oh, it would. So that would be a giant reduction in rates for the very, very rich. Now, would it be offset by the deductions? Well, one of the largest deductions is, for example, the home mortgage deduction. So let's do some quick math here, which is always fun on the Young Turks. So if you've got $1 million house and $1 million income, you're rich, right? The kind of people that Romney's talking about, saying he would not give them a break, right? So off of your $1 million income, you get to minus $40,000 in deductions because of your home mortgage. So that gives you a new income of $960,000, and that would lead to a tax rate of about $336,000. Now, that's the current plan, okay? Now, Mitt Romney says, don't worry, under my plan, the rich are going to pay the same amount of taxes. Well, let's find out. So if you got $1,000 income, well, you're taxed at 28% instead of 35%. So your taxes wind up being $280,000 instead of what they would be now. So what's your savings? Even when you take away the home mortgage deduction, $56,000. Now, if I lost you on the math, God bless your heart, you're not alone. But the bottom line on that is, under Mitt Romney's plan, if you got $1 million house and you're making $1 million in income, you actually save $56,000 in taxes, even when he takes away the largest of the deductions. If he took away all of your deductions, you would still save tens of thousands of dollars. In fact, the $56,000 is larger than what the average American makes in a year. And that's the amount they save if they're just a millionaire. Now, what if they were making $10 million a year? Now, look at the advantage Mitt Romney gives them then. Current law, they'd be paying $3,486,000 in taxes. Under the Romney plan, they'd be paying $2.8 million in taxes. In other words, if you're making $10 million a year, even if he takes away your biggest deduction, your total savings is $686,000. So when Mitt Romney tells you in that interview, hey, listen, don't worry, the rich aren't going to get a big tax cut, it is a preposterous lie. They're going to get anywhere from a really large tax cut to a gigantic tax cut. See, that's the problem with Mitt Romney's numbers and specifics. The minute you break them down, you see how utterly full of crap he is.